guys, I'm Eileen. Today, I want to share with you the tips to buy the perfect luxury handbags, especially if you're trying to create a minimal but curated collection. I've recently embraced the joy of having less. I wouldn't say I'm a minimalist as such, but I can certainly see the many benefits when I apply the concept of minimalism to luxury shopping. In the past, I used to really enjoy going on a shopping spree and buying things on impulse. And those are some really expensive and painful lessons. So I really hope you will not follow my footsteps. Personally, I now believe that luxury shopping should be enjoyed responsibly and mindfully. And truthfully, if you choose your pieces carefully, you really don't need a very extensive collection of handbags like what you might see on social media. And now, without further ado, let's see how you can create a small but all-rounded collection with only the perfect handbags for you. First of all, I will highly recommend you to consider the factor of cost per wear when buying a luxury handbag. Quite simply, if you're going to spend a lot of money on a bag, you might as well make your money's worth. Personally, I don't believe in reserving beautiful items for special occasions. As cliche as it might sound, tomorrow might never come, so every day should be treated as special. So when you think about it, it only makes sense that we buy handbags that will fit in our lifestyle rather than pieces that will only see the light of day when there's a very fancy occasion. Now this will differ for everyone, but for me, for example, the Louis Vuitton Speedy Bandolier 25 works a lot better than, say, a Chanel Jumbo Flap because it's lightweight, waterproof, and it can carry a lot. Essentially, you want to buy handbags that you will constantly reach for and not something you admire but not use. The second factor to consider when you're building your perfect small luxury handbag collection is practicality. Now, in the luxury world, we sometimes see luxury handbags as accessories, but when your collection is small, practicality should be your top priority. Now, the perfect sizing will differ for everyone, but essentially, it has to serve you well. You really don't want to spend a lot of money on a super tiny handbag that can hardly fit any of your essentials. Likewise, when a handbag is too big, it might feel like you're dragging along an empty suitcase all day. Personally, I prefer smaller handbags because I don't usually carry a lot. Now, this is why you need to do your research with a pinch of salt. For example, I've been raving about my Hermes Birkin 25, and I often say this is my favorite bag. And I know a few people actually ordered the Birkin 25 after watching my review. And a few of them actually said that they were quite surprised to see how small the size 25 was in person. So essentially, reviews can be very helpful, but they might not be completely relevant for your personal needs. While we're on the topic of practicality, I also think it's really important that the handbag is easy to use because when it's tricky to maneuver, it can really put you off reaching for the bag. So for example, I use my Hermes Birkin bag a lot more than the Hermes Kelly bag because the Birkin has an open top, so I can reach for my things very easily. Whereas the Hermes Kelly bag requires a lot more effort just to get in and out. Another factor to consider when buying a luxury handbag for a minimalist collection is durability. Now, when the collection is small, you want every handbag to be a workhorse for you, just so you can enjoy them fully without having to baby them. Several years ago, I was offered an Hermes Constant bag in the size 18. It was in a beautiful box leather, which is a very classic leather from Hermes, but it's also very prone to scratches. Even though it was absolutely beautiful, I knew I had to pass on it because carrying the bag would just stress me out, and I'm very happy to say that I've had no regrets. Now, I know some people don't actually mind having a bit of wear and tear on their pieces because they kind of tell a story about the handbag. This is why certain people would prefer to buy an Hermes Birkin bag pre-loved because they prefer the saggy look. However, if you're like me and you prefer your pieces to look brand new for as long as possible, then I would suggest to go for the more durable materials, such as the Chanel caviar leather rather than lambskin and the Hermes Epsom rather than the box leather. In fact, the Louis Vuitton canvas, such as the Damier Ebene, is pretty indestructible because it's waterproof and scratch resistant. For me, durability is something I consider very heavily when buying a luxury handbag. But please let me know in the comment section down below what is the most important factor you consider when looking for your perfect handbag. Moving on, if you've decided to have a small luxury handbag collection, it's really important that the few handbags you have go with every outfit, and a major factor to consider is the color. I personally love black color for my handbags just because it goes with everything, but your perfect color might be orange, purple, or even rainbow. The key is you want to create a cohesive wardrobe where your handbags complement everything else. I used to love buying handbags in red color, but after a while I realized I only felt comfortable wearing those handbags with certain outfits. It might sound ridiculous now, but I would actually shop for clothes just to go with those handbags. So now I prefer to have everything in neutral colors because it just makes mixing and matching so much easier to do. Another really important thing to consider when you're trying to create a minimal but perfect luxury handbag collection is versatility. I think it's fabulous that we can enjoy our handbags on a daily basis, knowing that they will also be perfect for the rare special occasions. Many handbags on the market are quite versatile. For example, the Chanel Classic Flap looks really good for both casual and formal occasions. Then we have the Fendi Mini Peekaboo, the Hermes Constance, and so on. Other handbags, however, have a more casual vibe, so they can be a bit more restricted in terms of versatility. Don't get me wrong, I love my casual handbags. The Louis Vuitton Mini Palm Spring backpack, for example, is one of my favorite handbags. However, if you've decided to have a small handbag collection, having one or two more versatile pieces can make the mission a lot more achievable. Another factor to consider when building a small luxury handbag collection is the resale value. I feel like when you've embraced a minimalist mindset, every handbag you buy, you will only do it after a lot of considerations anyway. However, life is all about changes, so I think it's nice to know that when a handbag no longer serves you or brings you joy, you can still recoup some money. And a good reference to use is the pre-loved prices, which you can easily find on any consignment websites. First of all, if the prices are heavily discounted, you might want to consider buying the handbag pre-loved to save yourself a fortune. But for those of you who always prefer to buy brand new pieces, having an idea about the pre-loved prices will also give you a clear picture about how much you love the handbag. I mean, if losing half the money in 6 months' time doesn't deter you from wanting the bag, maybe the bag is for you. Essentially, I don't think resale value should be the only thing we consider when buying a luxury handbag, but it doesn't do any harm to have a bit of awareness. Next, if you want to build the perfect minimalist luxury handbag collection, you have to listen to yourself. For a lot of us, buying a designer bag is not a light decision to make, so I'm sure we all do our due diligence anyway, like watching YouTube videos or asking for opinions. However, ultimately, only you know what works best for you and your wardrobe. So if you're quite sure about a handbag, you need to trust your instinct. So for example, if you're looking to buy a handbag in a black color, don't let anyone tell you that you already have too many handbags in black color and that you should go for a bright color like yellow or purple. The thing is, at the end of the day, you will be carrying the bag, so it really doesn't matter what other people think. If having a collection of 5 luxury handbags all in black color makes you happy, I would say go for it. Along the same line, if you're working towards having a curated luxury handbag collection, it's really important to know when to say no, which sometimes can be tricky to do, especially if the handbag is quite sought after. So for example, if you've been wanting an Hermes Birkin 25 in black leather and gold hardware, getting offered a Birkin 30 in that combination can be quite tempting. But you just have to remember that saying no really just means you are reserving your option for your perfect handbag. I feel like sometimes we do let the fear of missing out get the better of us. I mean, I've certainly bought a lot of things in the past due to FOMO. So I think it's really important to not rush into buying anything, because I think you will thank yourself in the soon future. There you have it. Those are the tips to create a small but perfect luxury handbag collection. Now you might think buying a designer bag should be a pleasant and a relaxing experience, and you really shouldn't have to consider so much. I used to think the same, and I would buy a Chanel handbag on impulse just because I thought I deserved it. But you know what you deserve. You deserve to use your hard-earned money on only the perfect handbags. And you also deserve not to burden yourself with selling your handbags at a loss. So if you ask me, being selective is not restrictive, it's liberating. So that's it from me. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to share, like and subscribe. I will see you in my next one. Have a nice day.